Good evening, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. I haven't done one of these in a couple days. I figured that it's time to do one. I've been kind of wrapped up with a bunch of things, and you can see from my beard, it's almost the old Delilah Sampson type of story that I'm sleeping, and my wife's cutting my beard. But she did leave a goatee, which is nice, so I appreciate that. And hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose, on your plan. I'm going to kind of give a bunch of shout-outs here, and then we're going to talk about an interesting one. We're going to talk about having sex without ejaculation, which we have a bunch of people that have asked about that. So quick comments here. Let's kind of go through these. Jonathan Howard, I forgot to actually put you in the description. I want to do that this time. So thank you for your comment. John Jennings, bull worker, thank you for your comment. I do know the bull workers. I remember those. I had one myself a long time ago. And Ghulam Raza, thank you. Open source. Amirul Islam talks about planks. I think that's great, Admiral. I think it's wonderful. Planks, this core beings. This is what the Kendler book of Fountain of Youth is all about. It's actually focusing on the actual internal planks and chakra a person has. So I agree with that 100%. Alvin 1N, thank you, my friend, for your comments. True Self, Higher Path, and Mike Schwendeman, thank you, Mike, talking about life becomes the organism. And I think I agree with that, Mike. I think that as time goes on, you become the spirit. All the energy comes around you, and life becomes yourself. You are it's revolving around your energy, and your energy is giving out to that. So we're going to focus on that one in a separate one, but thank you, Mike, for your comment, and I appreciate that a lot. All right, so we're at 2 minutes here, so let's go ahead and kind of talk about the actual topic. So several of you guys have written about monk mode and asked about this. Gunz, the reclusive artist, 310 Falcon, Edward Smith talks about it lasts longer when you're on a longer streak. Digital Validity, and once again, Amirul Islam has also mentioned this. And I kind of want to focus on this a little bit, because when we talk about this whole idea of monk mode, we're talking about a change in lifestyle, a change in perspective, a change in ideas. And I know we've had a lot of discussions over the last, since I started this about 1.5 years ago, kind of focusing on looking at life in a different way. Most of the time, we're in this matrix over the last 30, 40 years that people are telling you have to have sex, and sex often, to be successful. You have to have as many girls or many guys running around, and this is important. But many people find out that that is not what makes them happy. And in fact, they miss the relationships. They miss all these types of real intimacy, of just holding hands, because they're more interested in having the intercourse and the sex and releasing. And in fact, a lot of guys who are struggling with relationships, they go to the next best thing and they look at pictures, and all of a sudden now they're trying to have relationships by releasing. So the idea that you're looking at here is this matrix that's been given to us, saying that you must release on a constant basis because it's more healthy for you, and it's going to have better relationships, and having sex all the time is the best thing in the world. Well, I'm going to tell you, my friends, that idea is becoming less and less important to me. Maybe because I'm 61 years old. But I also recognize that the women who are attracted to me, and as I talked to a priest today about this, he said to me, you realize that a lot of the women here and in this place of business, they have crushes on you. I said, Father, this is amazing to me. I mean, this never happened to me before. And the idea is that obviously I'm not interested in pursuing any of this, but it's just amazing that all these women have crushes. And I said, I don't know the reason, except for the fact that I've been on celibacy, and I call it celibacy semen retention with him, for about 1,000 days. And he had said, well, that's the answer. That women actually subconsciously pick up on a man who has a full seed. And as men continue on this streak, they're becoming stronger. And women pick that up. And this is why women are so nice to you, because they see this. And women realize it. He called this the forbidden fruit. We go back to the days of Adam and Eve and the whole parable with Adam and Eve. and the fact that you couldn't eat that fruit. Well, the fruit could also mean something like your energy, and that you cannot lose your energy unless you give it away. And so the idea of marriage and the idea of relationships is so much different now. But I'm going to go back to the old model, because I believe that that's where we're heading back to. Everything changes every 50, 60, 70 years. It goes up and down. And we went through a time when I was growing up in the late 60s that we went from being really very conservative now to be very liberal and moving back, and now it's going to come back down. And I think God does that on purpose as long as society lives, and that's another question we can deal with at another time. But the idea is that the society goes back to the opposite, or at least getting close and moving back to the middle again. And so you're going to see a lot more conservative natures, and you're seeing it right now. People are rebuffing all these ideas about these deviant behaviors because they realize it doesn't serve the purpose of a unified city, town, state, country, and it doesn't do that. So one of these ideas we're talking about here is having sex without ejaculating. And so it seems like such a foreign concept, but we see this anyway, resulting when men sit there and they're losing energy 4 or 5 times a week, even maybe more, and then they find a live woman and they can't actually even get an erection or release. They're doing it anyway. So that happens a lot. Now, we call it dysfunction, but there's also a standpoint of this thing that you can actually end up holding yourself. Now, it takes some time. There's exercises that if people are interested, we can actually talk about those that I've seen and talk to people about. But the idea is the concept, my friends. The concept is what important. I believe we need to go back to a world in which intimacy is not sex. Intimacy is two people who care about each other, having a relationship in which they're doing, hugging, holding hands, all this other kind of stuff. But it doesn't necessarily lead to sex or releasing. Because what ends up happening is that is what the relationship is based on, warriors. And that's not what you're looking for. So it's very possible to continue to have sex without ejaculating. You just have to, in your mind, say to yourself, I'm not going to release any circumstance. Now, does it happen? Yes, it will happen. I mean, you can't be perfect. No one is perfect, right? One day I'm going to break a streak myself here. It's just a matter of time. But the longer you're doing it, the more you become a lifestyle that this is not something that you feel is that important. And like I said, whether it's because I'm 61 years old, going on 62, or it's just because that I've kind of moved to 1,000 days here, sex is not that important an issue to me any longer. And because of that, I'm able to accomplish a lot of things, and I can treat people like normal. I'm not interested in sleeping with a woman. Now, not that I don't notice it. Obviously, I have a great-looking wife. I have great friends around me. I mean, these women are beautiful women. But I'm not interested in that. And that's not something that I could see as a consequence of what I want to behave like. So I don't even think about that, okay? But the thought pattern has to be the important part of this. You have to really get to the idea of saying to yourself, do I really want to have sex? What if I go through a life of not having a lot of sex? Is that a problem? Well, the society, the media, all these people will tell you it is. But is it really? Is it really? I mean, how many times did we see people in the Bible doing this, right? Unless they were having children, right? And I think he says something like, he knew her, or something like that in the Bible. The idea, guys, is that having sex just for sex is not something that's talked about a lot. In fact, it's discharging is not even the issue. Discharging it makes you dirty as a person, according to what the Bible talks about. And because of that, it's a negative type of thing. It's not positive. And so, as we talk about this, I think the key to all this, my friends, the monk mode, is all of a sudden realizing, A, we have a problem in the society. There's too many wimpy men who are brought up for a lot of reasons. No father, a mother who's trying her best but really doesn't know how to be tough with the young man, have some parameters, You know, have that man, that young boy, be challenged enough to be tough, and then that boy has to then learn how to use self-control. And self-control, their emotions, their anger, at times frustration, because they have a lot of testosterone. But they have to learn how to do that. And if they're not in a situation where they learn how to do it, they go crazy. And a lot of times it ends up with them breaking the law and other kinds of things because they feel like life owes them a living. But it all starts with the fact that there's no parental guidance or people who are trying to teach this young man to become a strong male. So if you don't have that, you got to find someone who's going to be that mentor, because you need to learn that behavior. And a lot of you guys who are listening to me are going to be those mentors. Find a young man around you and teach him about retention. Teach him about celibacy, brahmacharya. Teach him about these things, because it's going to be something that he's going to forever be thankful for, because he's learning a lifestyle that doesn't tell you you have to have sex every day or else somehow you're weak. In fact, it's the opposite. And they don't want you to hear this, but I think nowadays we are understanding there's a lot of things that the government has told us and other people have told us that's wrong. And a lot of people are trying to persuade us to do things that's wrong. And now we're starting to figure this out and find out a lot of these things, these messages are just totally wrong, and therefore a alternative motive. And I think the motive in this case has been trying to vanquish and eliminate a lot of the male population, or make them at least weak enough that someone come and attack and they have no fighting skills because they're sitting there, they're sitting there too out of shape, playing video games and not doing anything to work themselves out and work their bodies out. They're not in regular shape. They're not fighting. They're not a fighting machine, and we need fighting machines, and that's the bottom line. So anyway, I think it's a great topic, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, you can always go ahead and make comments. Edward Smith's last comment, and lasting longer. I think certainly, obviously, the more you're able to control it, you can last longer. But remember, I've talked to lots of women over the years, and a lot of women, once again, these are little false illusions. You're watching these shows and movies, and they look like they're going on and on and on. You know, most women have told me that by 20-25 minutes, they have to take a break, because it's just not something that their body is used to. So this is all kind of an illusion you're watching here. And so the bottom line really is that it's a very quick activity for most people. And a lot of people get very disappointed with it because it doesn't meet the expectation that they're talking about in these movies. Well, these movies are fake. These movies are drawing you in to buy the movie. And the idea is, don't get caught up with that. Realize that sex is a nice thing, that is a nice pleasurable thing, but it's not something that identifies you. You do it in the course of a relationship, but again, you're doing it to have children. You don't need that pleasure in your life. There's a greater pleasure that's more important than that. I know some people may disagree with me on that, but sex is not that important. Take it from somebody like me who's older. Now, some of you young guys, I understand how you're feeling. I felt like the same way. But just remember, you're losing energy every time you do this. And the question is it worth it? All right, guys, have a good evening. 2 things to remember. 1, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And number 2, always continue to battle on!